Welcome back to the show, everyone. A pleasure to have our next guest joining us. They were working hard last night, both during the game and then after the game.
That's right.
The Granville Strip
And one of them used to play for San Jose, and I'm sorry about that. And one of them used to play for Boston, and I'm also sorry about that. P.J. Stock and Kelly Hrudey are joining us now if they're not going to beat me up. How are you?
Good, thank you.
How did you find the atmosphere? I mean, in all honesty.
After the game or at the game?
Well, both. I mean, coming into the city, because of course you guys, you do games all over the place and you sort of see it, but how special is this in Vancouver right now in a Canadian city? Kelly?
It reminds me of the Olympics. When I was here last year in February for a little bit, it was a cool vibe downtown, and PJ and I were walking back from the Rogers Arena last night after in the corner of Robson and Granville. It was just magic.
Amazing.
And all the people around, and of course everybody came up to me because I'm a big star and they recognized me, and nobody came up to PJ. So that's how it normally goes when we're
Is
watching.
this when the group of people tackled you guys and dragged you into the bar?
Well, it was funny. Before the game, there was such a nervous energy over the city because everyone's putting so much pressure on Vancouver to win because they're now playing for Canada. You got to win now. Canada hasn't had a trophy here in so long. You have to win.
Why'd you bring that up? When's the last time a Canadian team won?
I'm working on
93. And who was the losing goalie? Was that Sage? Do you have Kleenex?
When and where was your first NHL goal?
Oh,
well, yes, let's talk about this, shall we?
That's not funny.
Well,
Who are you playing with?
I'll just make it quick. I'll make it quick. It's a long story, and I get into it, but it was against a real weaker opponent, San Jose Shark goaltender, who has cataracts.
He was at the end of his career, wasn't he?
At the end of his career. Quickly, it was on Kelly.
Kelly, did you have any memory of that before you started working with PJ, or do you remember that
I do,
particular
actually.
goal?
It was a very vivid memory, in fact, because I got in the car after the game with Donna, and we're driving back to our house, and tears came rolling down. I was like, some guy that I've never heard of in my life just scored his first ever goal. I think it's time for me to retire. And in fact, I did retire,
Now,
So you
Kelly,
forced
let's
him
talk
into it.
about the goaltending last night because it was absolutely
crazy.
amazing
Both
on
sides.
both sides. So
Really? I thought they were both lousy.
Well, not good enough on Boston's side, apparently. But what is it like for you to watch that? I mean, in your position, having been a goalie, and to see that
Played
kind
in
of
the
game.
Stanley Cup.
I admire the work that they've done for different reasons, though, because you look at Thomas, and he's a guy that played in the minors, he played overseas, and he's forged a great career for himself. In fact, I'd say, you might agree, he had the best ever regular season of anybody this year. I mean, that's a remarkable
I would agree with that,
feat.
wholeheartedly.
And so I think that for him, he was getting a little bit tired because he plays at such a high emotional level. So in the third round, I don't think we saw the best, other than Game 7, and then last night it was magic. And then Luongo, I think it's just, and he's talked about it, it's no secret, he's learning to master the mental part of it, and that's hard to do. I mean, you guys know the pressure he's under here. And
I've
for
never
him to
been in a Stanley Cup playoff.
No, but I mean, for that guy, he takes a lot of heat in this.
I would
city.
argue
He
even the
always
first round is probably more difficult for
That
him.
Chicago Game 7 was so important, such a lift. But for me, quickly on the goalies, if Boston was going to be successful, Timmy Thomas had to steal a game for them. And last night was the game
close.
that he was stealing. His forwards just couldn't beat the
So can a goalie get into players' heads? I mean, is that a reality? Do you start thinking about it a little bit more when you're facing
You're asking a guy that scored 5 career NHL goals?
Well,
I wasn't going to bring
Fiona,
it
what do you
up.
think?
Kelly, I know that you're going to say yes because you wanted to get in everyone's head.
well,
That's right.
again, we'll go back to my first goal again. And if I don't know.
Kelly, can they?
No.
Well, a goalie will believe that
not
you
at all.
can.
Not at all.
I didn't think so.
Really?
Not at all. A player you're playing against and maybe taking a face-off or a defenseman, you get frustrated. You can't go around Zdeno Chara. You get frustrated. You maybe start doing different things. But on a goalie,
The good
you
goal
just
scorers
shoot.
think they can score on anybody,
every
and the
shot.
good goalie thinks they can
Right.
stop.
They can stop.
How do they
everybody,
handle the
so.
pressure? We're in the Stanley Cup Finals. What kind of different mentality do you have to have at this point?
You really have to calm yourself. In fact, it's great that you brought it up because I was watching Luongo when Mark Donnelly's doing the anthem yesterday, or the fans are doing the anthem. And it was cool because Luongo was there, and you could see he's sort of like breathing and trying to just remain calm, because sometimes you look around and you're like, wow, this is an amazing experience. It's thundering.
Once in a lifetime, unbelievable.
Yeah, and so, but you can't get too high, right? You got to just be try and stay at a normal level that you can manage your emotions, and it was great to watch.
I know after I scored my first goal, my emotions, like they had to calm me down.
And you had to belly breathe.
Coach comes over and goes, buddy, you're
What the coach say? Who are you? What's your name?
Get on the bench.
Did you win a contest?
You just got up here. But how much fun is it for you guys? I mean,
They
we
don't
talk
have
about
any
the
fun, you
players
can tell.
and everything else, but I mean, it's got to be so much fun. Something that you had such a passion for throughout your life, and you get to see it all the time, and you get to go to cities and really, sort of experience the fandom from another side.
I was never a fan. I was a fan growing up, but not as much as I can't understand how people are so fanatic of a team or whatever. My brother was a big fan, but it's amazing to see the people in Vancouver last night after that win. Like it was so
Are you
fun.
talking about in the Granville room, or are you
everywhere.
Kelly doesn't remember, so he'd like
remind me what happened?
Kelly's like, it's all fuzzy.
But it was so amazing to be, first of all, like you mentioned, the national anthem, the nervous energy before the game. It's
some of the
so
silence
fun
during the game.
During the game.
Yeah.
It was especially a 0-0 game. You're so nervous, but it was just being part of that, being on the street last night and getting to hold the camera while Kelly posed. And when people didn't stop, he's like, hey, I'm Kelly Hrudey, he wants a picture. PJ will take it. And I'm like, okay.
Does he still have that sign that holds? Hrudey?
Nameplate on the back of my
The
suit.
controversy that came out of the game with Alex Burrows and the finger biting incident.
He can address that better than I can.
Well, here.
Why are you? We had this whole discussion before the show today. Invited versus uninvited, right? I mean,
You're putting fingers.
Yeah.
First of all, it's two guys that aren't going to fight.
Yeah.
So I hate the fact that they're having that skirmish for like 2 minutes. It was
it
long.
went on forever.
It went
The
on.
ref was
And then you know what?
laughing
Look,
at some point.
Bert, what are you doing with your hand there, anyways?
Yeah.
You know what? If
Yeah.
you're putting your fingers in my mouth, and you can make a teeth joke here at any time, I am chomping down on that.
I don't know if there is room for fingers in your mouth, PJ. I don't know. Had to get one in there.
That's very funny.
But
He's not being suspended. You guys
He's not
never
being
thought
suspended. You guys
so.
agree?
I got no problem with it. You know what? Fine him.
He
Just
should be fined, in my
PC,
opinion.
in the PC world that we live in, hockey is almost in fear of every time there's a big hit or something like that. But again, you're wrestling. What are you doing? What are you putting your fingers in the other guy's mouth for?
yeah.
Exactly.
What
The
about
official.
people have been talking about it last night. Don Cherry said it. He said he didn't really enjoy the game last night. And I agree to a point because it got a little crazy with penalties there for a while, but it was still a pretty intense game. What did you think of it overall, Kelly?
Yeah, good.
I
That's Kelly.
loved
'Cause
it,
I don't
yeah.
want to go against what Don said, but I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Don Cherry really is a big Canucks fan, right?
Right?
Yes, he is.
Right?
Yeah. His hotel room has all these pennants and flags.
Pictures of
and,
the players.
yeah, memorabilia. Ron Stettelbauer and all
From
these
his
guys
years with
from
the
the old days.
Canucks. I think he's actually doing
Orland
a pretty good
Kurtenbach.
job, actually, not just totally cheering for the Bruins. Like, he's trying to hold himself back a little bit. That's hard for him.
Well,
We're not
former
talking
Bruin.
on. Let's not talk on behalf of Don.
Yeah, that's a bad
That's
idea.
gonna get
isn't
us
it?
in trouble.
PJ, these are things you learn after working at CBC for people.
Where are the
How long have
eggshells?
you been on the show now? 4 years?
I don't know. You know what? I knew before we went to the Granville room last night.
Doesn't seem like an eternity. How
been
are
on
you
the show
guys?
for
How do you
4
guys
years?
get ready for the game? Like, do you guys going into game 2 on
Rituals?
Saturday? Do you guys have any rituals, being former players,
No.
or?
I
No,
do.
Richard.
I like to get ready before the game, and I like to visualize my goal. And I go over and over and over.
Which
Like you
crazy
guys,
tie am I going to wear?
You
Which
guys,
one?
lots of research. That's how you have to do it. Yeah.
Well, and I guess you really have to know all these players at this stage now. And I was talking with you, PJ, today. I mean, just about that moment for Raffi Torres. I mean, for two guys who know this game, who have played it, I think part of what makes it so special is sometimes these guys that step forward and they have that moment, and to have any sort of insight into that must be really spectacular. Just to see how this game kind of rewards people sometimes.
You grow up, for us it's hockey, right? But this is something you dream of. That goal for Torres was he scored that goal how many times in his backyard or on the outdoor rink, and he finally did it, And same thing for the guy hitting the home run to the basket. That was his moment. And listen, yes, the Sedins are amazing and Kessler, but these players were also the best players in every other part of the world and every other league. I mean, you're the best of the best.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing.
And you get to the NHL, you're a third, fourth liner.
Yeah.
You have to have unlikely heroes to win as a team. And you think of, going back to the Kessler goal, scored with how many? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the San Jose.
13 seconds?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
to send the game
If
in
you guys
overtime.
need another commentator on the program,
Yeah.
I am.
You expect guys like Kessler, but you have to have a guy like Torres score.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I know you've never scored an important goal, but it must be very
A memorable one for PJ. Kelly had to do
Other
okay,
than
Hockey Night in
driving
Canada,
some guy into retirement.
Saturday night, I don't even need to tell you guys when the game is, but it starts
gonna
at
be
5 o'clock. Do not miss it. And of course, CBC's exclusive Punjabi broadcasts continue throughout the series live and on demand. CBCSports.ca is where you can find it.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming to the
Thank
city.
you.
And
Cheers, Kelly.
thank you. Yeah, that seemed very
That's all we
familiar.
need.
It's just
Our first goal.
Thank you for supporting our drinking establishments on Granville Street as well. We really appreciate
Thanks, guys.
you helping us out with
The economy.
the economy and everything else. We're going to take a break.